Am I the only one that's not okay? Let me just say this is for entertainment purposes only, and only my opinion, so that maybe TikTok will take this shit fucking down. Our government just slaughtered hundreds of people because they wanted their land. They force injected the entire fucking world because there's just too many of us useless eaters on this planet for them to control and manage, so they're killing all of us. And yet we're sitting here pretending like everything is fine. We're going to work and we're paying our fucking bills and paying our taxes like good little fucking sheep. And I just don't understand. And I just want to know, am I the only one sitting here in this place wondering why are we still sitting here? Why are we doing anything? Everything about our entire society is a lie. It is a lie about everything. Our medical establishment kills people for profit, and we all know it, but we don't stop them. Two-tier justice system that supports the fucking rich and destroys the poor because that's how it's designed. There is no such thing as innocent until proven guilty. You're guilty and hope you can prove your innocence. Everything they do is designed to destroy us in every way that they can. But yet, it's normal. Everything's normal. It's fucked up, but we're just gonna go along with it because that's what we do. Meanwhile, our children are gonna grow up in this fucking dystopian nightmare that we can't even comprehend or imagine because it's always only been fiction to us. And we are living through the start of something that is so horrendous and so horrific that we can't even wrap our brains around it. And the majority of people in this world can't even accept what their own eyes are telling them because the trauma of it is too great for them to bear. When are we going to stop this? When are we going to stop it?
Good evening, everyone. This is Ari Copel with Shattering the Matrix. Today, I'd like to discuss the things that have happened within this past 2 weeks. And it's pretty loaded. There's so much information coming out, and every day there's news that tops the day before. And so I think that if you are not constantly on top of it because you're busy, it would be a good idea to just have this recap so you can get an idea about what's happening in the world and how quickly things are devolving. So, as of 2019, that disease that was inflicted upon the world wasn't enough, right? But we're currently being attacked on multiple fronts. And it's so much that we just don't know which one to fight first or which one is more important. And in reality, they all are. Every single one of them is part of the puzzle or the landscape for this new world agenda that they're pushing on us. We've got the human trafficking, of course, still going on, uh, that is being used for all kinds of purposes. We have open borders where we have people coming in that are not vetted, a lot of them being young men of fighting age, coming from different countries. A lot of them have been Chinese and other countries. Uh, we're experiencing the high prices for everything: gas, food, housing, lumber. You can't even build things anymore. Of course, they're going to be costing a lot more because of the cost of supplies. The Fed is hiking interest rates. Apparently, it's going to go up to as high as 8%. I remember when I was in the mortgage business back in around 2001, all the way to 2003, 2004, the interest rates started at 13% when I was in the business, and they started coming down, and they hit, I think, about a 9%, maybe even a 7% when I was in the business. And around 2008, that's where it was. So right now, an 8%, when a lot of people have experienced a 3%, 2%, and now the prices are higher for housing, right? For homes. It's really difficult to be able to purchase a home, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. And and then of course rents are high as well. So how do people make it when everything is so high? And you kind of wonder, will this create more homeless people? So here's a recap of some important things, just to give you a taste of what's happening and to open up your eyes, because a lot of us are busy and we can't be in the on the internet or on Twitter or on Facebook or any other alternative platform where you're getting the news if you're not watching it from mainstream media. So at least here you might be able to get a gist of what happened while you were busy. And not all of these are going to be put in the orders that they happen. I'm just bringing them up so that you get the bigger picture. And it's the world that we will soon be living in should nothing change. Because what we're seeing is that dystopian world birthed right before our eyes. And that's really, really disturbing, guys. Really disturbing. So the Maui situation, as we know, is in everybody's face. Seems to be the worst fire ever. So in case you don't know, the police chief seems to be the same guy that was in active duty during the Las Vegas shooting. So I think he was also police chief during that situation. So you have a really bad event that happened in Las Vegas. This guy seems to have been involved as a police chief during that time. And now he apparently is the police chief during these Maui fires. Coincidence? Gee, I don't think so. I have a feeling they recruit individuals who are good at either lying or covering up, or they're loyalists to the New World Order agenda. That's what I think. You got to get the right type of guy to be able to carry it out, you know? The Maui Emergency Management Agency director by the name of Herman Undaya, who also made the final decision against activating the emergency sirens in the Lahaina, Maui situation, has resigned. Interesting, right? He resigned. And then Governor Josh Green, who just happens to be a Democrat, has consistently defended the refusal to use sirens. And he also says that the state has plans to acquire land ravaged by the wildfires. He also happens to have been the keynote speaker in, I don't know if it was a UN conference or something about smart cities and making Hawaii the first state to be using electric for everything. So kind of weird, huh? And with respect to fires, fires seems to be the go-to form of destruction, apparently, recently. Okay, because not only do we have the Maui situation, but we have apparently wildfires or wild forest fires in Tenerife. I believe that's the way you pronounce it. I know in Spanish you do. Tenerife in the Canary Islands. This is ongoing. Oahu apparently experienced some sort of fire also. And I think if I read correctly, I understood that it was near barracks or around the barracks, and they might have been army based. I'm not sure. Just kind of weird, but that has happened. There were fires in Texas, Louisiana, the Dominican Republic, France, Israel, Russia, and the Russian one was caused, I believe, some kind of gas station might have exploded. But again, regardless of how it sparks, then it kind of takes off, right? And it takes over hundreds, if not thousands, of acres of land and destroys property and all kinds of things. So keep an eye on that because it seems to be everywhere and it's happening in different areas. And why this all of a sudden? And then on top of that, it seems to be that there's some kind of hurricane coming around the southern area to hit the Southern California area. And apparently this thing is about 600 miles wide. And if you haven't heard, they've named it Hillary, but with one L. Interesting. But imagine if somebody just happens to set off a fire in that area. Well, the excuse is all these winds blew it out of proportion. And, then you have a whole bunch of homes and property that is destroyed again. God willing, that doesn't happen. So I ask you to please pray that California spared anything like that. Also, Russia publicly accused the deep state, or the deep state actors and individuals that are part of the deep state, and they named them by name. And they've also accused Big Pharma of manufacturing the disease, the pandemic, to take over the world. They listed Obama, Clinton, Biden, and Mr. Soros. And they're stating that that the United States is working to manufacture another more deadly virus. Interesting. I do have the clip that where this particular official is talking about that with actual PowerPoint slides and everything. It's really interesting. Now, there is no translation to it, but the website, there is a website that you can go to and read everything. I'll put that in the description. They're not wrong. It just so happens to be Russia saying it, right? And Russia, oh, they're so full of disinformation. So yeah, let's not believe what they're saying. So with respect to Maui again, I'm just going to go right back to that. I just wanted to point out a couple of things of strange things or inconsistencies that just don't jive the narrative, right? The narrative that they're trying to sell us. One is that the fire hydrants were dry. I mean, that happened apparently from what they're saying is because they had to turn off the electricity because the down power lines were creating sparks, which ignited the fire to begin with due to the wind, because apparently the wind knocked down these power lines, sparked, the fire, and the wind then obviously spread it. So they turned off the electricity, which then, of course, turned off uh, the hydraulics or whatever, the power to the water that it was needed to be able to take down the fires. So that's what they're saying. The point is there's no water. The mayor or governor were out of town, coincidentally. People were trying to evacuate, or the people that were trying to evacuate were told that it wasn't time to evacuate and to turn around back into the fire. There were no cops on bullhorns, no firefighters in the streets. The most robust emergency siren system in the world didn't sound any alarms. There were no warnings. And apparently there were anomalies with the wind. So the direction of the wind just scientifically didn't add up. And that's what was being reported. That that the wind was going a certain direction, which it really shouldn't have been doing that, according to the scientists. Tourists were evacuated by bus, but the locals were locked in and told that they couldn't get out to back up and not leave. They had to stay or turn around and go back. School was canceled. So children were home and sometimes alone while parents worked. And some of these children were found dead with family, with their moms, they were holding each other, or families holding each other. Just horrible. Absolutely horrible. A lot of these people were obviously burned alive, and some of them cannot be identified. There was a perfect circle of fire around Lahaina. Molten metal was found next to intact trees, and in some areas, plastics were not touched, like garbage cans and things like that. Just very strange, right? Very strange. Media is reporting fractions of the real death amount or the real toll numbers of death toll numbers. They're not reporting it accurately. Similar to the COVID, with the COVID situation, it was exaggerated. With this one, it's understated. There's apparently new insurance policies that were taken out before the fires. And the people who had insurance policies on their home, those were not honored because their properties apparently had violations. So their insurance policies are not going to pay out. And within a day of being told that their insurance policies are not paying out, they were contacted by the developers offering to buy their properties, probably for pennies on the dollar. Because you know what? They figured that these people are hurting now. They're not going to get paid for the damage that was caused on their homes, for the total loss. And so you have nothing. So you might as well get something. This is terrible. Absolutely horrible. It's diabolical. Yeah, and people were trying to flee the flames and the police blocked the road. Citizens' donation centers were stopped, okay, by the powers that be. And this is according to the police officer who was recording, or actually was recorded stating this. He was recorded that he was shutting down these donation center, or the particular one that this one was in, um, because the powers that be told him to do that, and he was under direct orders. And then to add insult to injury, Biden, first of all, he was asked by a reporter what his comments were about the fires in Maui, and he had no comment. He just kept walking to his vacation. But he's a good guy. He's offering $700 to the victims per household, while he's sending an additional $40 billion emergency funding to Ukraine. We're living in a crazy world. I don't know about you, but I don't like this at all. And a couple of more pieces of news. It looks like Fox News faces public backlash after promoting pandemic inoculations to pregnant women. So their push for that apparently is now biting them, and you know where. And it looks like there are documents that reveal that Jeffrey Epstein was the middleman between Obama and JP Morgan. Lo and behold, things are getting exposed there. And Georgia State Senator Colton Moore moves to impeach the district attorney Fani Willis for her actions against Trump. He states, quote, "As a Georgia state senator, I am officially calling for emergency session to review the actions of Fani Willis. America is under attack. I'm not going to sit back and watch as radical left prosecutors politically target political opponents." Also, the former VP of Pfizer says the pandemic disease is just the beginning of a 10-year plan by Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab. Also, Joe Biden uses secret pseudonyms, one of them being Robert L. Peters. And of course, the other names that he's using, I have to look them up, but I can put them in the description. And he uses these when he's making business deals with Ukraine, and he CCs Hunter Biden with this as well. We have Oliver Anthony's Rich Men North of Richmond surges to #1 on the music charts, which is pretty cool. So congratulations to him. And so news continues to develop every minute, guys. And my question is, what are you doing to make the news positive, to help turn things around? Are you a part of the solution, or are you a part of the problem? And you can say, well, no, I'm not part of the problem. I'm not causing any of these terrible things to happen. But are you not? See, the problem is that we are, because many of us are silent. And a lack of action and a lack of speaking up is a participation in the problem, is allowing it to flourish. So question again, are you part of the solution, or are you part of the problem? And a lot of us say, well, what can I do? How could I be a part of the solution? I'm just a grandmother. I'm just a grandpa. I'm retired. I'm poor. I live on limited income, Social Security. I mean, I'm disabled. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too fat. I'm too thin. I'm too tired. I'm too busy. You can find an excuse, I promise you. But really, there is no excuse because there's so many of us. We're the 99.9% of the population, and we're allowing less than 1% of evil people, demonic possessed people, control our lives, take over our world, dictate our future, get rid of our species through transhumanism, through depopulation events. We're allowing that to happen. They're telling us point blank what they're doing, and we don't care because we're too busy. Well, pretty soon you won't be too busy. God forbid that this whole thing finally catches up with you, whether it's health-wise, whether it's an event like a Maui situation, because they're not pulling back any punches, guys. They're throwing everything at us, including the kitchen sink. They're using directed energy weapons on the people. And it doesn't matter where. It's the United States, it could be Europe, it doesn't matter where. It's all over the world. It's happening. And we're not doing a thing. All we do is bitch and complain on social media. Maybe even at the dinner table, I don't know. But we're not doing anything. And it may take rising up. It may take that. How does that look? You need to figure that out. I am not going to, vocalize it here, but I think you understand. But you can also do other things as well that exercises your power. And one of them is to fight with your wallet. Okay? We can say no to purchasing products and services from companies that are woke, that are pushing agendas or disgusting, immoral values that are not ours, ideologies that are not ours, things that are not godly. Okay, we can say no. We don't have to have that product and service so much that we are compromising our values. Remember what happened with Bud Light? Everyone got together and said no. And we pretty much imploded that company. We did the same thing with Target. Target was targeting our children. And a lot of us said, no, we won't give you our money. We won't purchase your products. And so their sales tanked. We can do the same thing with other companies, with Netflix. I remember that I boycotted Netflix, and I'm boycotting Netflix because they put out a movie called Cuties, which exploited young girls, young children, and sexualized our little girls. Why? Because they are targeting, their customers, the ones that are pedophiles. And apparently they were more important than those that have a moral foundation, values, that care about their children, that don't want to see their little girls exploited and sexualized and targeted as possible abduction cases, trafficked. That's what we need to do. We need to boycott all the woke companies. Don't do business with companies that are backed by, for example, BlackRock and Vanguard. These companies are backing companies like the ones I'm talking about. Plus, they're buying up neighborhoods and controlling the rents so that people are not owners anymore. So the more properties that they buy, the less inventory there's out there for anyone to buy anything. So it also creates a scarcity of inventory. So that also rises the prices of of real estate. So it makes it even more difficult, besides the fact that the interest rate is higher now, the prices of properties are higher, so it just makes it very difficult for anybody to own anything. And that statement that you'll own nothing and be happy, that's what they're pushing for. So that everyone can go into maybe their 15-minute smart cities. You think I'm kidding? Look what's happening in Maui and in other places. Boycott Hollywood. Hollywood is corrupt. It's the pits of hell. That's what that is. You can't make this up. They go out and publicly show their allegiance to Satan. Many of them do, not all of them. Maybe some of them have kept it quiet. Maybe they are in allegiance to Satan, but some of them maybe not are not as vocal. But the ones that are vocal that you know about, boycott them. Don't watch their movies. Don't go to the theater and spend money and popcorn and everything when that particular actor or actress is in the film, and you would start imploding that industry. They either start producing things that are decent and moral again, or you just stop watching. And I suggest you do the same at home. Don't be talking out of the both sides of your mouth or be a hypocrite and say, no, I don't like this. I don't like this kind of stuff that they're talking about in Hollywood. And then at home, you're watching the movies that are of subject matters that are about those things that you're against, and you're watching, you're not turning it off. Same thing with sports. There are a lot of teams out there that during the halftime, for example, for football, they'll put very bizarre satanic type of uh, shows, and that stuff is coming right into your living room. Nobody's shutting it off. Nobody's taking a stand. Take a stand. You can't be lukewarm. You have to be on one side of the fence or the other. You can't be just sitting as a bystander, allowing them to dictate how you are going to think or what you're going to like and not like. The same thing goes with the mainstream media. How many of you, honestly, are still watching that because you think you're getting the news there? You're not getting the news there. You're getting disinformation there. You're getting what they want you to think. Okay? You're getting a very distorted reality. So stop it. Bad habit. Stop that habit. Find alternative news or not only alternative news channels, but alternative uh, podcasts and things like that that have more insight as to what's going on. Big Pharma, guys, I hate to break the news to you if you haven't figured it out, but even watching commercials on TV, if you are still watching TV, every time they're going to push a new drug, they tell you very, very small letters and very rapidly all the side effects that that particular medicine has. So you're taking something for a symptom, it's going to be a Band-Aid for that symptom while it's creating another situation on another part of your body. And it could be an organ that will be, soon it'll be affected by taking that medicine. Could be your emotional level of how you're feeling emotionally. Could be your psyche, your mind, could start, you could start for being forgetful. It might It might create Alzheimer's. These are all the things. I mean, so you're putting a Band-Aid on one thing and then it's creating a situation in your body for something else. So it's a perpetual, you're becoming a perpetual patient for some doctor or set of doctors. And what I would do, this is what I do personally, is I try to find ways of healing myself between prayer, between, connecting directly to God and connecting to nature. There's a lot of herbs and products that are created by Mother Earth that can also help you get better. But do the research. I'm not here to tell you one way or another. I'm just saying, be careful with big pharma and read labels. There's a lot of packaging that shows bioengineered foods, which is the new term now. It used to be GMO, but bioengineered foods is, you don't know what they're made of, what kind of DNA crossing and chimeras they put in there, what kind of creatures and DNA and fetal tissues and whatnots. It's a concoction of everything. And eventually it'll get to you. It will. It's not natural. And when you start feeling sick and when you're feeling down and ill, you definitely don't want to fight back. Not even boycotting. You can't even think correctly because you might be in a brain fog. So I know that there's a lot of different ways to fight back. Those are the ones that I know that you could definitely do tomorrow, could do right now. And if you can't do anything else, like blog and comment and speak your mind and ask questions, intelligent questions at the dinner table to start bringing up a topic so people can start thinking on their own. You just plant seeds. You don't have to tell them how to think. And I suggest don't tell anybody how to think. Just plant the seeds, about even Maui, for example. Why were those fires burning and melting metal, yet trees seem to have been untouched? Why is it that it's touching this home and that home and that home, but not this home? How does a wildfire act that way? How does it go into boats that are in the water? Just questions like that, as if you really are concerned, you just want to know. And you may get an answer, you may not, but that person may go home and start thinking about it. It might start gnawing at them, where they go down a rabbit hole and start figuring it out on their own. And there's nothing better than discovery, especially when you discover it on your own. Somebody didn't tell you how to think, and then you have somebody else wake up. You could do that, right? You can have that kind of conversation and ask questions. I think we all can. There's a lot of things we can do. And then, of course, you bring your own talents and your own gifts, right? You have a lot of experience. So what do you bring to the table? How can you contribute to this war, this spiritual, physical, multidimensional war that we're all facing? Because we're all facing annihilation. I don't know if you realize that. That's what we're facing. They really are going full force in trying to take humanity down. They really are. Are we going to rise to the occasion? Or are we going to be cowards, bystanders, watching as if it's a movie where we, have no skin in the game, or it's a video game where we can just press the reset button and come back to life? But I hate to break the news to you, it's not like that. This is reality. This is where we live in. And most of us, you know, are really burdened by life. And then there's some of us that came here with the purpose of being part of the solution, and we forgot. And we're working on our own escape. Like in a blink of an eye, we're going to be out of here. without having to do much of anything other than working on ourselves and drinking our special teas and eating organics and meditation and just working on ourselves. And yeah, no, that's very irresponsible in my humble opinion. I think that things probably wouldn't have been as bad as they are now had we taken the responsibility that we agreed to take on before we showed up here in this skin suit. So I'm going to ask you all to please think about how you can contribute based on what you're capable of doing. Not everybody can do podcasts. Not everybody can be a researcher. Not everybody can write blogs. But most of us can talk to other people and just start a conversation, again, asking questions. And I think most of us can pray. We need to get back to serious praying, because when we all pray and ask for divine intervention, then the celestial beings will step in. I really do believe that, because I'm asked by them, why don't they ask? I mean, seriously, this is what they're asking. Why are they not asking is their question. And so I'm here to let you know that you need to ask. Either get into your meditative state or down on your knees and pray for divine intervention. Ask the celestials, whether it's Jesus or Archangel Michael or all the angels or Mother Mary or whomever you feel a kinship to, whoever you feel very close to, ask for divine intervention, because we need this now. Apparently, we're not rising up to the occasion, then they need to come and help. And that takes us to humble ourselves and ask for it. They won't do it on their own because this is a free will world, and they just won't. We took on that responsibility when we came here, and apparently we're throwing the white flag. We haven't risen to the occasion. We've pretty much failed humanity. The evidence is everywhere. I leave you with an outro that I put together. It's a small little clip, and I put it together with the hope that it inspires you. You could interpret it any way you want, however it touches your heart. I hope it does. That's fine. If it gives you the ability to rise up to the occasion and inspires you to take action, then all the work I put in it was worth it. But either way, I hope you enjoy it. And I know that we can win this. We can turn things around when we are all working for the same goal. And the goal is to take back this world and bring it back to its original intention. I hope you join me. And I look forward to speaking to you, hopefully next week. Have a beautiful rest of your day and night. Good night.